You know, out of all the characters fans have been asking to see in the Arrowverse since Oliver Queen started murdering a bunch of people back in 2012, I don't think I've ever seen as many requests as I have for people wanting at least one Green Lantern to show up on screen. Well, maybe Batman, but be careful what you wish for, I guess.
I need you to fix his suit.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be. When it fits a woman.
A little warning next time?
Seriously though, as far as Green Lantern goes, we know there's probably been at least one active Green Lantern on Earth 1, since we know Obsidian was part of the Justice Society back in the day, and he was the son of the Golden Age Green Lantern, Alan Scott, in the comics. But outside of that, we've really only gotten a few Easter eggs and references here and there, mostly location stuff relating to the original Silver Age Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. Come on guys, you can give us at least one special guest Green Lantern appearance, right? I mean, if the Flash can have a talking gorilla and an entire gorilla city for an episode, then there's no way we couldn't have seen a halfway decent Green Lantern somewhere in the Arrowverse by now. Hell, we even already have a fully fleshed out and explored pre-Ring Green Lantern just waiting to jump into the space cop territory too. That being Oliver's friend and teammate, John Diggle.
Whoa, what?
Just a quick recap in case you guys haven't heard this theory, even though it's been around almost as long as the show has. Basically, Diggle's been theorized to actually be the Arrowverse version of the Green Lantern John Stewart, thanks to their shared military background and first name, the fact that his stepfather, as introduced in the 7th season episode Spartan, is a Marine general named Roy Stewart, and during the Elseworlds crossover, we got probably the most direct reference from the Earth 90 Flash, who mentioned that John not wearing his ring must be one of the differences between their universes.
You're not wearing your ring. Things must be different here.
Now, while both Beth Schwartz, the showrunner for Arrow, and Todd Helbing, the previous showrunner for The Flash, have made statements claiming that John becoming a Green Lantern isn't really something that the Arrowverse was planning on exploring at all, Diggle's actor, David Ramsey, recently started making people think otherwise. After he was asked about his character's arc as a father at Comic-Con this year, Ramsey slipped a pretty interesting tidbit in his answer, stating, "Yes, and Diggle's relationship with his own father as well. There will be loose ends tied up. The relationship between he and his sons, I think we're going to find out about. There's a lot in 10 episodes we'll be finding out. And Lila is a pivotal piece in these upcoming 10 episodes. And then ultimately what happens with the Green Lantern mythos. I think all those are going to be answered in 10 episodes.
I have several questions.
Seriously though, he wasn't asked about Green Lantern stuff at all. He just threw that in there for some reason. And considering how this is apparently something that the Arrow team had been talking about working out years ago, along with how we know the Green Lantern Corps exists in the Arrowverse thanks to all those Easter eggs and references I mentioned earlier, it definitely seems like we'll be seeing Diggle be chosen by a power ring sometime soon, maybe even during the upcoming crisis. Which is fucking awesome! Or at least it would be if we didn't have to worry about one little tiny question. How exactly does Diggle become a Green Lantern in the first place? I mean, even though we know Earth 90 Diggle happened to be deemed worthy enough for a power ring, we haven't seen any signs that the Earth 1 Guardians are thinking about giving a ring to this version of John. I guess he could just be given a ring since you'd think Earth would need some extra firepower in a few months, but considering how there pretty much used to be a one lantern per sector of space rule in the comics, and it's not like the Guardians know about the upcoming crisis, and we don't know exactly where in the timeline the Green Lantern Corps is right now, meaning Abin Sur could still be flying around for all we know, then why would the Guardians just hand out more rings for seemingly no reason? And speaking of other Green Lanterns, we don't even know if there are any Earth-based Green Lanterns yet. I mean, yeah, we get some Hal Jordan references, but it's not like we've heard anything about an Emerald Knight flying around Coast City or whatever. But what if I told you that, thanks to a couple throwaway Easter eggs from earlier seasons of Arrow and The Flash, we could not only make the case that we have at least one active Green Lantern in Sector 2814 already, but that these could also explain how exactly John becomes a Green Lantern in the first place. Crazy claim, right? I mean, I just spent the first part of this video talking about how we barely know anything about the Arrowverse version of the Guardians, the Green Lantern Corps, or if there's even any active members on Earth in the first place. How can I prove that there's a human Green Lantern anywhere? Well, think back on all those references we've gotten over the course of the Arrowverse. Most of them tend to be name drops or references to Coast City, maybe a Ferris Air reference or two, obviously some nods to Hal Jordan, like I mentioned earlier, but no big deal, right? We know certain people can just not exist in some universes.
You guys have Central City, but you don't have Star Labs. No Cisco Ramon, no Harrison Wells, no Caitlin Snow.
And it's not like the guy himself ever showed up or anything, right? Well, you'd think so if you didn't remember the first episode of Season 4 of Arrow, appropriately titled Green Arrow. During a flashback in that episode, we can see a guy at the bar Oliver and Amanda Waller are drinking at, wearing a green bomber jacket with the name Jordan on it. Obviously a huge reference to Hal. Add to that the mention from Barry in Season 1 of The Flash that Ferris Air had been shut down after an unnamed test pilot went missing.
Ferris Air thought this place got shut down.
It did. One of their test pilots disappeared.
And we can start to put together a rough timeline of Earth's interactions with the Guardians of the Universe and their power rings. I already mentioned how Alan Scott probably existed thanks to the Obsidian appearance, and considering how Hal must have been chosen to be a Green Lantern, then that must mean Abin Sur is dead already. More on this later. But outside of that, we haven't really gotten any references to any of the other human Green Lanterns. Nothing about a struggling artist in LA, nothing about some asshole with a terrible haircut, nothing. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that suggests to me that Hal Jordan is the current, and so far only, Green Lantern of Earth and the rest of that sector. That's cool. So, where is he then? Outside of the missing test pilot story and the bomber jacket, we haven't really seen or heard anything about him since. Is this dude still training to be a Green Lantern? I mean, it's been a while, the hell's he doing up there?
Are you stupid?
Seriously though, each sector of the universe a Green Lantern is supposed to protect is pretty huge. Just because Hal was chosen to be a Green Lantern a while ago doesn't mean we'd see him on Earth that much. I mean, for all we know, he's been flying around fighting giant starfish monsters in space or something. And now I know what show I want the CW to tackle next. So, okay, we know for sure that at least one Green Lantern exists and is active in Earth's section of the universe. What does that have to do with Diggle then? Well, think back to how the Green Lanterns can choose ring bearers. Yeah, they still have to find someone with a strong will who can overcome great fear and all that, but usually when a Green Lantern is trying to find someone to give their ring to, it could mean that something either is going to, or already did, happen to them that would prevent them from continuing to be a Green Lantern. Remember Abin Sur? He was the Green Lantern of Sector 2814 until he was injured during a fight with Legion, or Yellow Sun Rays depending on what comics you're reading, forcing him to seek out and give his ring to somebody, who turned out to be Hal Jordan, before he died. So what if something happens to Hal that forces him to transfer his ring over to Diggle during the crisis, like Abin Sur must have done for him back in the day? Or maybe he already has Diggle in mind thanks to the backup selection process. As established in the comics, and like I mentioned earlier in this video, the Guardians like to have a backup on hand just in case something happens to a Green Lantern in a particular sector. And even though Guy Gardner was Hal's original backup, he wound up getting in an accident, knocking him out of the backup role for a bit. I'll give you 3 guesses to figure out who was picked to be Hal's new backup in the pages of Green Lantern number 87. That's right, John Stewart. Either way you look at it, Hal Jordan is at least part of John Stewart's backstory of becoming a Green Lantern, and since we know Hal has to be one in the Arrowverse, then it definitely seems like we'll be seeing him show up and helping Diggle get his power ring at some point, which I'd argue would most likely be sometime during the crisis. Or maybe I'm totally wrong and Diggle could just meet his alternate self from Earth 90 and get that guy's ring. That works too. But I guess we'll find out as we get closer to the premiere of the Crisis crossover. But anyways guys, that's my take on how exactly we could be seeing Diggle officially becoming the Green Lantern. If you guys agreed with anything I said in this video, or if you have your own thoughts you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.